good flip-flops.
Thank you.
People are so hating on mine because they keep telling me that they hear me coming in the office and whatnot.
Centralized.
I know that you're looking at the duration of this video and you may think, oh my god, this is going to be really boring, it's just going to be Chris on an airplane again. Yes and no. This is of course me getting on an airplane again. I got contacted by Castle Creations asking me to come in again. I asked them why. They said, well, we want you to paint a couple of bodies, we have some internal restructuring going on that we want to show to you, and apart from that we have some really exciting news. I can tell you, knowing what I know right now, that exciting news is really an understatement. Hope you will keep watching and I hope you will fully take in all the information I'm about to give you, because this is going to be a revolution in RC.
Well, first stop, New York City. I'm at Newark, so I'm not at JFK, and I can just see the skyline. Time's a tiny bit short to actually go and visit Manhattan, but I sure as hell wanted to. Well, one stop, 3 more hours to go, and then I'm in Kansas.
Now, while of course it is really exciting for me to just fly out from Norway to the United States to paint a couple of bodies and to have a look at how internally stuff is being restructured and streamlined again, just to make sure that production is run more efficiently, I knew there must be more to the story than just that. Castle told me that over the past couple of years they've been working on a new line of products, an entire series of products that will set a new benchmark in the RC industry. That of course really piqued my interest, and I was wondering, could it be that finally we will see perhaps some censored motors from Castle, because when I was there back in June I did get a lot of questions about that during my live streams. So I'm really keen to find out what they did and what they did differently. It has been of course a really long time coming.
There's a lot of weird shit going on over here. Trying to get to Castle Creations. I think I typed in the wrong address because I ended up over here. Got no idea what's going on. At least I have beer, so I guess that's good. Just another day in Kansas. Swear to God, only one wrong exit.
All nonsense aside, I had a great time at the Renaissance Festival in Bonner Springs. Bonner Springs is also the home of Checkered Flag Raceway, where they race oval in different classes. We visited the track, I did a lot of filming, and unfortunately I needed to wipe everything off the memory card because I filmed everything in slow motion. I can tell you this much, the people that gather at Checkered Flag Raceway every other week, they're kind, they're helpful. For me it's an entirely new world. I'm not familiar with oval racing. It's not something that we do over in Europe. I had a really great time seeing how they set up the cars, how they paint them, to learn more about all these different classes and to meet new people.
just woke up and I'm having a coffee outside of my hotel, and I see I think it's a tweaker like on the other side of the street doing some really weird shit, so I will try to film him. So while some people are doing their morning workout in the parking lot at Jimmy John's behind me, other people are just waking up in their car behind me on the other side. It's a great morning. There's a number of reasons why I'm here this time around, because I mean it's a lot different than last time around. Last time around I gave you guys a tour of the factory, showed you how all the ESCs are made, how they're assembled, how they're tested and all that stuff. This time around they're moving to a new facility, or moving, it's basically everything is getting reorganized. There's a whole new line of sensor motors coming out, and apart from that, of course, I needed to paint a couple of bodies for all the new trade shows that are coming in next year. So pretty exciting stuff. Really warm. I found a shaded spot in the back of the building, so I'm currently having a smoke. I'm sitting here with Taylor. James Taylor is the senior mechanical engineer here at Castle Creations. Over here you see a bunch of censored motors. Taylor is the, well, I call him the main brain behind it. He also explained me in what aspect these motors are different from whatever else is out there, and how they differ from all of the previous motors that you know from Castle Creations.
I think to start with, I mean, kind of the question is, you know, why censored, why now? And it's a good question. You know, censored motors have, this concept of censored motors have been around for a while. We here at Castle have always believed that a sensorless setup is a much more efficient way to run a motor. But we've also identified some areas that some needs from certain customers for a little bit better startup, a little bit smoother startup, more efficient startup.
Yeah.
And so we've decided that we're going to incorporate sensors into our design in order to kind of meet those new goals that we have.
And it's of course also the market changing with cars like the Axial Bomber coming out. Crawling is hot, rock racing is really hot at the moment. Just to give that overall, I think, low RPM maximum control.
Sure. And I mean, like I said, we've always been very confident in our motor design. We already offer a very powerful, more efficient setup. This is just an improvement on that, an improvement on the startup of that system, and which we'll kind of jump into a little bit later with how we're actually running the motors. But we're kind of getting the best of both worlds with using the sensors on startup and still running sensorless in sensorless mode once we get going.
So to put it really simple, I'm a guy, I run either brushed or I run brushless, non-censored up to this point. And if I do run brushless, then the cogging and all that sort of keeps me away from the first quarter to 1/3 of the throttle, just because I know that I'm going to get a really jittery startup and a really jittery ride. And that's something that's now been taken care of.
Sure, absolutely. With this new setup, we're really utilizing the sensors to really improve that startup, mostly from a dead stop. Now you're going to notice zero cogging. It's going to be very, very smooth, even audibly quieter than maybe what everyone's used to with our normal startups. And that's really where we're taking advantage of the sensors. Okay, so SmartSense is really important to us and to our system as a whole, because it's really how we believe that motors should be run. Yes, we have introduced sensors into our motors, but through the use of SmartSense, we're still, most of the time that you're actually running the motor in the car, you're running in sensorless mode. So what SmartSense allows us to do is to use the sensors and utilize the sensors to give you that nice, perfect startup, and then very quickly switch over to sensorless mode in order to drive the motor most efficiently.
Yeah.
So just a brief explanation of your sensors and why sensors give you a better start and all that is it's all about knowing where your rotor is located inside the motor.
Just to explain, you got the stator, right?
Yes.
And then you have the rotor, and the rotor needs to be kicked off at a certain point by a magnetic field. If you have a sensorless setup, that's all guesswork in the low RPM range. That's also why you experience that cogging. It's kind of like when you try to pedal a bike forward and you would use force at the exact wrong moment. That also makes for a jittery ride.
Sure.
And what the sensor does, it sends back a signal to the ESC, or
Yes.
and that makes sure that it powers up the magnet to kick off the rotor at the exact right moment.
Sure, exactly. So we're using sensors to know exactly where that rotor's at, so we know exactly how to pulse the coils in the motor and exactly when to pulse them, so that you get a perfect smooth startup.
So let's talk a bit about QuietSense.
Yes.
Shall I break it down the way that you explained it to me, and then if I get it wrong, then you can just choke me out or walk down on camera and make for some great footage.
Yeah, go for it.
QuietSense, let's see what I remembered from this. You have the rotor and the stator, and the rotor emits most of magnetic field,
Yes.
which you are trying to read with sensors.
Yeah, you're trying to use the magnetic field from the rotor to sense where you're at.
Now that's a radial magnet field, so that will come out this way from the motor instead of like lengthwise. And the sensors are located in the back of the motor, so they are trying to read it axially, which is nearly impossible, but it is the way that most sensor motors currently are constructed.
Correct.
So what you guys have done is you have incorporated a flux shield, and I'm not sure where you have that rotor, which is a metal shield, sort of to avoid any type of distortion going on from that magnetic field into reading it in the sensors that are mounted in the back of the motor.
Correct. Yeah.
And then to maximize the effect and the readability, there are some magnets located in the back of the rotor, which emit an axial magnetic field, which is easier to be picked up by the Hall effect sensors, which are located in the bottom of the can, making for a way more accurate, readable sensor output.
Correct.
Okay. There were a lot of question marks in there, but I think I got most of that.
You did pretty well. One thing that I'll add in addition to what you said is the coils that are part of the stator are also emitting magnetic fields. And those fields are actually going in much different directions because they're kind of coming out, looping around, and they're coming out in different directions.
Which makes for a sort of like a distorted
Sure,
image in which it is.
If you could imagine a picture of this and arrows pointing in the direction of all these fields, you'd have arrows coming all over the place at the end of the motor.
Okay.
So that can make for a very noisy signal, or a very noisy magnetic field for the sensors to try and pick up. What we've done is added 4 individual magnets that are actually perfectly aligned with the rotor magnets that they are representing the position of.
Yeah.
And we've separated them from the rotor itself. And we have moved the sensor board as far away from the inside of the motor as possible, so it's mounted to the rear end belt. And it's to kind of remove it away from all this, noise.
To get as much of an accurate reading as you could possibly get.
And so we have these magnets spaced up away from the rotor itself. And the flux shield that you mentioned is a steel disc that is between that. And that disc is essentially dampening out all magnetic flux noise.
Yeah.
Or all these random fields we have going everywhere.
So it works as a buffer to make sure that whatever magnetic signal it is that's being emitted by the board in the end is as accurate as possible.
Sure. So it's basically making sure that this sensor board and the sensors themselves are only seeing the axial magnetic fields given off by these 4 magnets.
Okay. Now I know that in a lot of those current sensor motors, people are trying to sort of tune them by advancing the timing on them. A lot of people have no idea what that actually does.
Yeah.
Can you explain a tiny bit what that does in a conventional sensor motor setup?
Sure. So when you crank your timing up like that, you've now cranked the timing up for everything. All your low end, all your mid range, all that stuff has a very advanced.
Yeah. So if you go for that higher top end, you do risk missing out on quite a bit of torque, for example.
Exactly. So while you may be able to adjust your timing to a very specific point of when you're running the motor to tune it to that, you can't really tune it for the whole time you're driving the motor. What we're doing differently is we have fixed mechanical timing. We know exactly, with the design that we've done, we know exactly the starting timing, the timing advance, and it's fixed. And what we're doing is we're using SmartSense and the way we drive the motor sensorlessly to basically dynamically change the timing, because we're able to constantly tune that timing with ESC and through software, so that you get the optimum timing for any instant while you're driving the motor.
So you guys got rid of the variable timing. You have a more accurate reading with QuietSense going in that sensor board and making sure that you actually have the exact moment when the rotor needs to be powered to make it spin. There's SmartSense kicking it from censored into sensorless to also optimize your entire power band and making that as linear as possible. I've test driven it, by the way. It's awesome. You don't have to worry that it feels like a 2-speed or anything, because it sure as fuck doesn't. That was something that I was a bit afraid of when I first heard it, that it would like kick over. But it is really linear and it's buttery smooth. I was basically crawling a 2-wheel drive short horse truck earlier this week, which is, I think, unheard of. And there was even a 1406 in there, 5700 kV motor.
Yep.
Try to crawl with that if you are used to driving sensorless. It's absolutely impossible.
Yeah, when we first got the motors in, I spent probably my first battery pack actually in the car. I wasn't even going fast. I was just kind of like going and stopping.
Yeah.
Going and stopping. Going and stopping.
Yeah,
it's just like
jaw dropping. The first 3 millimeters of pull on your radio, which is usually for me a no-go zone. You already have such an amount of control and liberty to do whatever the hell you want, that it makes for, I think, a really nice scale setup as well. In, for example, Bomber, even SCX10, all of those cars. If I look at this deconstructed sensor motors, then I see that there's quite big bearings in there, and you guys seem to have gone above and beyond in making that sensor board sort of like compatible with a bigger bearing. Was that a main idea also behind developing this and making sure that it's completely optimized and as fail-proof as it can get?
Sure, absolutely. It was important to us to still use our big size bearings that we've used in our previous models of motors. Obviously, trying to add a sensor board and some more sensors and like different magnets and stuff in the back, adding a lot of hardware, and where some of our competition has to kind of shrink down to a smaller bearing to accommodate all of that. We've designed the end bells such that we can still use these same big bearings that we're happy with, that give you a little more reliability, and incorporate our sensor design in there as well.
Will there be parts offering in case people want to, for example, rebuild a motor?
Yes, we're going to be offering the front end bell assembly, so you'll be able to replace your front bearing by just popping a new end bell on, and also we'll be offering a full rotor replacement as well, in case you do something super crazy and you break your shaft or do whatever. If you mess your shaft up or anything like that.
You don't want to mess your shaft up?
Yeah, don't mess your shaft up. That'd be a bad thing. a rotor replacement will be available as well.
Okay, well that's awesome.
The motors will come with wires soldered on for you. If for some reason you prefer them in a different orientation, facing a different direction, they're very easy just to unsolder and solder right back on.
Yeah.
Whatever direction you want.
So it's still a plug-and-play system. You don't need to get your soldering equipment out right from the get-go to try and ugly this up yourself, because it's a clean solder. And it looks really good, but in case you are more experienced and you, for example, want to modify this to where it comes out in the back instead of towards the front, I think towards the front makes for the most clean setups in general. Whether that's bashing or racing, that's not really important, but if you do want to alter it, you can feel free to unsolder them and make sure that they face the other direction. I will make sure that you get a close-up of the soldering tabs, for example, and also of the rotor and of the cans themselves, because I think the look of them also greatly improved with it. Well, I refer to it as a diamond cut front. I'm not sure what you would call it.
Yeah, you know, one of the other important things that we wanted to kind of address that we are excited about as well is the look of the motor. We've kind of revamped the look. We've improved the motor, so we felt we should revamp the look as well. Yeah. We added some nice features on the front end. We kind of redone the laser etch on it. The in-bell artwork is different. Looks to me, it's a more professional look.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more representative of the improved product that we're trying to bring to the market.
Yeah, it just oozes quality, put it like that.
Well, better. I was the one who designed it. So
yeah. Taylor and I, we just watched back some of the footage that we have just shot. I'm not even sure if you can see Taylor with the lamp over there. If the audio sucks, you can send a complaint to the DJI Osmo customer service. I will make sure that there's a link to them in the description box, because the Osmo is really great on picking up a bunch of noises that you do not want to hear. I'm going to try to unlock the bat cave that is the new facility. That's how secret it is. It's like on full lockdown constantly. Thomas, what's up? Jason.
Whoa!
Oh,
nice.
What's up?
I like it.
Roberta makes the best coffee in the world. I still have to bring my own French or French. It's an Italian little coffee maker that I have, but I need a stove and to actually warm it up. Let's see. Behind here is Mike. Mike is doing important stuff with numbers, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, what is he doing?
Are you going home?
I'm going home.
Okay. All right, Brian. I noticed a door right here.
I hope it's open.
I remember this door from last time around, I think. Last time around, you may remember that we were over here. Behind me, you will see the factory as you have seen it in the previous video, which is currently closing up because it's late.
So new space.
You can say that again. Should we go on through
Yeah, let's go through the other side.
Your shoes don't flip-flop, Brian.
No, I don't flip-flop. I can hear you coming though.
Yeah, you can always hear me coming here.
It's always between you and Mike. Who's clicking the
I never had more 10 feet than I have right now.
That's much better.
A lot better.
Much better. I don't know how to turn on the light though.
There we go.
Hey, a little bit of activity. Redesigning our floor plan.
All this almost in the line of sensored motors for greater efficiency, right?
Exactly.
The SMT machines, in last video people have seen with the SMT machines, those are the machines with like the tiny hand, as I explained it. That
really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Really fast.
Surface mount technology, right?
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So those machines will be there.
I think what most people don't see is that the facility on the other side of the gate is more length based. So it almost funnels the production to where it comes out, where this whole facility is more width oriented.
Yeah,
I'd
there's
say.
a lot more width. A few offices, conference room, but this will be the primary area for engineering. And then
Which is great because they're located upstairs. If you would sort of relate it to over here, then engineering would be somewhere over there, where right now they would have a direct access to what's actually happening on the production floor.
exactly.
So you're looking at greater efficiency, greater productivity, well, hopefully also resulting in more jobs at some point.
More product, more jobs. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all of this just to make sure that the local economy is being kept on its very peak as well. The old offices that you guys have in the current building, those are going to be maintained, from what I understand, on the ground level when you come in. The whole area
right,
that I just showed with customer support and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So we will have the top level so that we have street access.
And I have seen quite a few people just walk in to either just have a look and have a talk, or to have something perhaps repaired or fixed, or to troubleshoot something, because that's also something that they don't shy away from doing. If you do drop by with your vehicle and you have some troubles setting it up, they will figure it out on the spot right here for you.
For receiving goods and of course shipping a lot of orders. And then also we've got our own little private windowed office back there. I'm not sure who's going to get that one. So maybe that's where you'll come back in and film again someday.
Yeah, that could be. It is Sunday and we are at the Byron Fuels Race Cup at the Lane Speedway in Blue Springs, Missouri. Wow, that was a whole mouthful. It's warm as fuck out here. Well, you can hear that there's nitro racing happening at the moment. They also have a couple of electric classes. Really cool. Huge turnout. I think there's like over a gazillion people here. I hope they have cold drinks because I'm sweating my ass off as always. You would not believe the temperatures out here. It's like Africa or something.
Good luck at the pump. Here goes.
Everybody is a bit chaotic right now with the racing being started and whatnot, but overall atmosphere is excellent.
Seconds down the road.
You don't want to try it like on a day like this.
No, that's the thing.
Put them back together?
Yeah. Gotta keep them clean.
Yeah, you sure do.
Well, Blue Springs, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having us, but it's warm as fuck, so we're getting the hell out of here and gonna cool off somewhere else before I really lose all of my wits.
We can
and don't know what I'll get, and and
already Tuesday. I just woke up. Really nice hotel, by the way. Let me show you real quick. Pool, jacuzzi, absolutely everything. It's going to be another really warm day. Did a lot of painting yesterday. Tiny bit more painting to do today. Check this shit out. Not bad, is it? It only closes at 9 o'clock, but I was in here at 10:30 yesterday evening because I can climb these fences. It's 95 degrees or something. I'm standing in the parking lot doing the last shell. I painted up 4 shells, so we did 3 in the past week. I just had the X-Max shell to finish up, so that's almost done. Just need to flat clear it a tiny bit. I think it turned out okay. Yeah, of course I have an X-Max over here running a 2028. That's also what I'll be putting in mind once I get back home, just because that thing needs to boogie a tiny bit more. Day, beautiful weather out here. It's pretty humid and it feels a tiny bit more bearable than it has been in the past couple of days. I think that I'm going to go back to my hotel and dive in the pool because why not, right? Perfect way to cool off. Last day in the office. It's not super warm. We're running a tiny bit late because I needed to pack all of the shit in the hotel. Yeah, it's gonna be a good day. I think we're gonna have a tiny meetup this afternoon in the back parking lot with a ton of people. I hope there will be hundreds. There won't be, but that would be funny. Yeah, good day.
Now, given the fact that we only had 24 hours to put together this entire impromptu event, I think that the turnout was nothing short of amazing. KCRC was presenting hardcore. They even brought their own mobile crawling track, which is called The Thing. People had a lot of fun on The Thing. Castle Creations had set up a deadbolt with a new sensor motor, so everybody could get some hands-on time and see how these new sensor motors feel and in what aspect they actually feel different than whatever else is out there and whatever else you may actually be used to. Checkered Flag Raceway also had sent over a couple of their members, and it was really cool to see those faces again. A lot of these people I had already met during my stay in Kansas, and to see everybody get together this one afternoon was really cool. Castle Creations then went over to presenting these sensor motors to these people and telling them exactly what is different and what is perhaps different from any other censored setups that they are used to. For me as well, it was a lot of think work and a lot of information to wrap my head around. SmartSense being enabled in these motors, kicking it over from censored into sensorless is not really an easy thing to understand. But when well explained, it does make sense. The same with QuietSense, having that additional shield in the back of the rotor and having those additional magnets. Those of course make for a really accurate readout, but to wrap your head around it and actually take in all that information and put it together then with SmartSense, that is something that is quite complicated. People did have the opportunity to ask all the questions they wanted, like for example, is Castle still using these oversized bearings that we know them for? Are these sensor motors rebuildable? can we run these censored motors with any other censored ESC that we may already have? All these questions were answered. Most of them I can answer with yes, knowing that Taylor gave away all of that information during the impromptu meetup. I had a really great time, and I'm really grateful to be able to capture all of this on film and be the first one to present it to you. Expect to see a lot more about censored in the future videos on my channel. I will be running these censored motors in, for example, my Axial SMT10, my Axial Bomber, and also I think into my new SC Extend version 2. You will see one of these motors finding a new home. If after watching this entire video you do still have questions like what is, for example, SmartSense, what is QuietSense, and what does it do? What KV ranges can we expect in the future, then I hope that I will be able to answer them for you.
You have a good time? Yeah? Okay, good. So then it goes into selfie mode. Yeah. Nice. That's pretty cool. And then it quickly also shifts back to regular mode. It's like double tap.
We're back on.